So welcome everyone to second event of the Awesome Marketers community. For those of you who don't know us yet, we are the first community about marketing in English. We're mainly based on Slack, so please register there, but also you can find us on LinkedIn and lately very actively in Clubhouse. We created a club and we do some meetups there also, actively developing the new social media channel. So what we do in our community is basically talk about marketing. We have mentorship programs and you can come in as a mentor or mentee, but also you can just randomly pop in every time you want and ask your question in one of our channels about marketing, and our members will most definitely rush to help you. This is how it works. It's giving back to the community, and it's absolutely for free. And by now we have 300 something members registered at our Slack and counting. So please come find us there. So today's event is the second one. I don't know if we have here people who probably have been in the first one around 2 weeks ago, I think was our first kickoff event. And there we were talking about finding first job in marketing in Finland. And today we already starting to go into more specific marketing topics. And why we chose this topic today is because it was one of the most discussed topic this year in the community, I think, both openly and in channels. So we thought that if this is raising this much interest in the community, it must turn into an event. And I have two excellent experts here with me, proudly presenting you Rémy Bertoli. I'm going to read from here. So Rémy is a growth marketing enthusiast, a serial intra and entrepreneur, digital consultant, and growth manager. Above all, he considers himself a social architect. Indeed, he builds up his energy through meetings and exchanging with people. So welcome, Rémy. Rémy also is working at RecRite, Finnish recruitment tech scale-up as growth manager, which is why he is an expert to talk about this. And he is a founder of his own digital agency, Bertoli Digital. But I'm going to post all the links and everything at the end of the event. And then in the other corner of the ring, haha, pun intended, Delfin Vassallo. I'm going to read this from here because this is no way I can reproduce this by memory. Delfin Vassallo, a recovering madman with a robust digital media suitcase. After 29 years surfing advertising, digital marketing, customer experience, social business, and everything in between. Keenly focused on measurable results, he has worked for many global brands and major international agencies in 5 different countries. Currently, marketing director at Uponor, a 100-year-old Finnish industrial manufacturer with over 1 billion euros in revenue. Welcome speakers, and we had a third speaker, Taija Lankanen, who unfortunately got sick, as I already mentioned. So it's gonna be just 2 speakers for today. Someone has unmuted and their sounds. Please mute yourself if you're not a speaker. And yeah, so this is the short introduction. I hope everyone who wanted to join already has joined. And without further ado, I give you Rémy, who is going to be the first speaker. So how, sorry, one more remark. So how this is going to work is we are going to start with short keynotes from both speakers, and then we are going to move to a more like panel mode discussion. But if you have any questions and at any point, just pop them in the chat and we're going to get back to those later. So Rémy, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for the nice introduction. And hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. Quite excited to be there. We have been willing to do such an event, at least discussing the growth topic with Delfin for a while, but it was really hard to find the right platform. So really happy to have the awesome marketer facilitating that. So I will start sharing my screen because I prepared a small or relatively small deck. I always like to support what I'm saying with some slides to be a bit more impactful, but can someone just let me know if now you can see correctly the screen in a right size and everything?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So let's just jump in. So growth debunking the myth. So I just started with that. Like there is so many different terms, nomenclatures, ways to talk about it. So there is growth hacking, there is growth marketing, there is growth in general. So it's really easy to get lost in all of that and to be a bit overwhelmed by all the term. What does it mean? Or a bit confused. So hopefully today we're going to try to cover that. 10 minutes, yeah, is really short to cover this topic. Just to give you an idea, usually when I host myself workshop on growth hacking or growth marketing crash course, it takes between 2 to 3 hours to just get the introduction and the overall idea. But now we have this 10, 15 minutes short keynote, and then we will have the open discussion later on. So I had to, of course, take some some shortcut and simplify some element and concept, but let's see how it will go. So before we dive in, I wanted to put something out of the way. So this is definitely a huge polarizing topic. And that's because usually the word that follows growth is hacking. And for whatever reason, hacking makes a lot of people feel in a certain way, usually a negative way. And actually, there are multiple reasons that we can talk about. But again, as I say, we need to go quite fast today. So you can just run a Google search about the term hacking. And I imagine now it's quite small, but I can just like read you the first latest article. So it's like Chinese hacking spree hit an astronomical number of victims. Active threat, Chinese hacker target 40,000 US entities. And then on the bottom of the first page, you have like Microsoft Exchange server are hacked, etc., etc. And the entire first page results, so 100% of it is just about negative news, illegal hacking, black hat hacker, and dark unethical practices. So when you see that, no wonder that the connotation about hacking has changed in people's mind and in society in the latest years. But hopefully, as I said, today we're going to clarify all of that, open the discussion, answer your question, and debunk the myths. So let's try to make sure we all understand what growth marketing and growth hacking truly is about. So growth marketing and growth hacking have a huge positioning problem. So usually when I talk to people about what do I do for work or what is growth marketing or growth hacking, we always spend the first part of the conversation a huge amount of time reaching a common understanding of what do we actually mean by it, what is the definition of it. So in order to get us started and to make sure that we talked about the same thing when we refer to growth marketing, growth hacking, or just marketing in general, let's just start with a really simplified definition of all the previously mentioned terms. Before I jump into the definition, I also wanted to show this book. So for some reason, Ryan Holiday decided to mix both terms because you will see that, of course, growth hacking, growth marketing, and marketing have some like similarities, but there is lots of difference. So that's what we're here to show today. But I don't understand why we have to mix them, because growth hacker marketing is like taking growth hacking, growth marketing, and mix them all together. So to me, this is my do not read list, and that's only my own personal opinion. So of course, really happy to hear if some of you in the audience read this book and what did you think about it. But the reason why I do not recommend it is that if you're really interested in the concept and the methodology of growth hacking, I would not suggest listening to an author that doesn't practice what he preaches, so which is Ryan Holiday, because this book is basically a bunch of research articles that was compiled into, well, a sort of like marketing book, and the author is not involved in growth hacking and it doesn't teach company the growth methodology. So I wouldn't understand why should you somehow follow what he preach if he's not really like leading by example or doing it. So instead, I suggest checking out the Hacking Growth by Sean Ellis, because for me, if you want one source of truth about growth hacking, you should read the book of the actual growth hacking founder. And I think that for most growth marketer and growth hacker, this is the true Bibles, because this is the author of the founding father of the term growth hacking. And most importantly, as I mentioned, this is someone that truly lead by example in the field and constantly find new ways to self-actualize the process, the knowledge all around the world. And I think that in today's landscape, it's a must-have if we want to stay ahead of what's going on in all industry, because we are in a constant disruption. We cannot rely on old research paper or on old books. There is new tools constantly surfacing. There is new behavior, new societal change that happen really frequently. And once again, Sean Ellis is the one that coined the term growth hacking, is the one that invented the methodology. So I guess we should follow the one that came up with all of that. But again, it's all down to what is the difference between everyone's opinion and the definitions. And we can also go to what is the difference between objectivity and subjectivity in that sense. Because obviously, when we all look at something, for example, here, we can all see that, yes, there is 4 oranges, and I think we will all agree, so we will be objective. But if we eat a strawberry cake, maybe someone would say, oh, I really like this strawberry cake. And someone else would say, actually, I hate the strawberry cake. But that's all about your own opinion, and that's all about subjectivity. So to me, I just wanted to go back to that before I show the definition, because there is subjective claim that people can disagree without anyone being incorrect. And because I said that this is a huge polarizing topic, I think it's really important to put that down before we jump in all the different topics. So again, someone might think that this is a really cute dog, and someone might think that not really, this is not a cute dog. So what I will continue with is that for me, I will try to just think about the objectivity is about the definition of growth hacking, and the definition of growth hacking is about who came up with it in the first place, which is Sean Ellis, the founding father of the growth hacking methodology. So growth hacking appeared in 2010. That's the first really important point. It was coined by Sean Ellis, as I mentioned previously, and it was defined in his book, Hacking Growth, that was published in 2017, so 7 years after he came up with the term and the methodology. So it's about 10-year-old practice. So if you hear anyone talking about 10 years experience, 15 years experience, or 20 years plus in growth hacking, you can already put a red flag and say that, okay, this is total bullshit, because growth hacking just started about 10 years ago. So everything before that, it's not growth hacking. It's whatever you want, but it's not the case. And here is a picture of Sean Ellis there. And then marketing. So marketing as we, sorry about that, marketing as we know it today appeared in the 19th century around the Industrial Revolution. And of course, I'm talking about the marketing as we know it today, because of course, marketing is like really, really old practice that was happening like a couple of 100 years ago in markets and stuff like that. So in the trade market. So, but marketing as we know today is around the Industrial Revolution. And often Philip Kotler is the one who is credited as the father of marketing as we know it today. And Kotler authored the seminal textbook about marketing management in 1967. So it's about 50-year-old practice. So already, and yes, here is a picture of Philip Kotler. I wanted to just lay that down so that we have the same foundation. And now we know that growth hacking is really recent. It's something really new, which makes sense why there is so much confusion, why there is not as much research paper, when there is not as much definition of it. And then marketing, because there is so many different like author involved, so many professional involved, and it's like 5 times more having like background and experiences. But the official marketing definition, so again, we can argue on that, but the only way that I could like officiate it is to check at the American Marketing Association, because unfortunately, I don't think that we have like a European one or like something that have like a really big authority in our markets. So what they say is that marketing is defined by the MAA as the activity, set of institutions and processes for creating, communicating, delivering and exchanging offerings that have value for customer, client, partner, and society at large. So again, the source is this American Marketing Association, and that's the only way I could officiate the official marketing definition. If you check the wiki definition, it says that marketing refer to activities a company undertake to promote the buying or selling of a product, service, or good. Then, if you check the official growth hacking definition, and yes, I had to put my picture with Sean Ellis because I had to have my fanboy moment, you know, as a growth hacker and growth marketer myself, I'm really admiring Sean, so proud to have a picture with him. But this is the original term for growth hacking that was coined in 2010 by Sean Ellis, who is the founder and CEO of Growth Hackers, to describe the sustainable growth approach by hypergrowth companies like Facebook, Airbnb, and Amazon. It's a rigorous approach to fueling rapid market growth through high-speed cross-functional experimentation. So here I highlighted rapid market growth, high-speed, and cross-functional experimentation because that's really the key, and that's what is most important in differentiating between the marketing and growth hacking. And the term was made mainstream in 2017 when his book, Hacking Growth, was published for the first time, and then making his knowledge accessible to all in the business world. The source is seanellis.me, which is the personal website of the growth hacking term, so of Sean Ellis. And then we have the non-official growth marketing definition. So why do I say non-official? Maybe before I show you the definition, actually here again, just performing a Google search, and I know that Google search is not the source of truth. Please don't get me wrong. I know that everything that you find online is definitely not the truth, absolutely not, especially in the past years, the amount of fake news and how easy it is for anyone to publish a blog post make it really hard to find the source of truth. But if you just Google growth marketing, the first thing that came up on the like SERP 0 is growth hacking. So already just a hint for you. And the definition here that I give you is basically what we can find online by combining everything. But I strike through official because there is no official growth marketing definition because it is unclear and it's really hard to find the first time that someone came up with the growth marketing term. And we can come back to that a bit later on, and happy to have someone in the audience discuss that if you think you have like the source or the reference of the origin of growth marketing. But this is a new term that we usually use to describe growth hacking, but, and I put it in caps and highlighted and underlined, it's chosen mostly by risk-averse people that want to avoid the never-ending discussion around growth hacking being a real field and not just a buzzword or a silver bullet or just about hacks and shortcuts. And we can hopefully go more in detail about that later on. But I found one source that HubSpot and Sean Ellis work together. So in a way, again, it gave us a hint of what it is about. Growth marketing is all about creating a culture of experimentation and about being ready to test. It's all about running marketing experiments based on data and make improvements that make our customer fall in love with our product. Source is from the data-driven approach to growth marketing created by Sean Ellis' team and a HubSpot team. Again, not the one true source, but I don't think we can come up with better. Something that I want to highlight quickly, it's really, really small, but in here, there is a quote from Sean Ellis that I found online, and someone described him as the first growth marketer at Dropbox. And I truly believe, and of course, I'm speaking for him, so I cannot say it's true, but I truly believe that he would not like being referred as a growth marketer. And I can come back to that also later why. And then finally, as a last definition about growth in general. So there is no official growth definition, except of course, if you check the dictionary, and if we think about the literal meaning of the word, growth is about the process of increasing in size. But in our business context, this is what it would mean. So growth would refer to the growth methodology across the whole company and business, including all departments and all competencies. So sales, product, customer success, developers, marketing. But I also want to highlight once more that it's not just about marketing. And here I put a screenshot and highlighted in yellow in my book that I, by the way, have here next to me as well, because, well, as I say, it's a true Bible. But the growth hacking, it's a book so from journalists. Growth hacking is not just a tool for marketers. It can be applied to new product innovation and to the continuous improvement of product, as well as to a growing existing customer base. And here you can see that it talk about, it's equally useful to everyone from product, engineer, designer, salespeople, manager. So that's one of the biggest misconceptions about the growth hacking, that growth hacking is only a marketing thing, it's only for marketer, and that's totally not true. Now I'm checking the clock. Let's see, I have a couple more slides, but please, Ekaterina or Delfin, just cut me if I need to stop there. We have more time to discuss together afterwards anyway. But I just wanted to jump in and show you quickly the growth process, because also people think about growth hacking just about the last step, about the tactics, so-called hacks. And I hate using that word because there is, again, the connotation that I talked about in the beginning. But here, this is a presentation from Sean Ellis, where he actually show what is the growth testing process, aka the growth hacking methodology. And you can see that it changed the nomenclature, so it doesn't talk about growth hacking methodology, it talks about growth testing process. Why? Because we are constantly trying to test things and we are constantly adapting to the market. And that's why we have also growth marketing to replace growth hacking, but ultimately they are the same. So here, what it shows is that the growth testing process, basically growth hacking and growth marketing, it's a scientific process for continuous improvement and learning. And you start by analyzing high leverage objective, then you ideate around your objective, you prioritize top scoring ID, you test how does that impact your objective, and then you repeat, of course, analyzing the impact. So it's a never ending loop, and you always continue to do that. And if there is question or if we have time in the discussion, I can show you, for example, different tools to support this process, because that's not, you cannot say that you're a growth hacker or growth marketer if you don't work with this growth testing methodology. Otherwise, you're just throwing ideas and throwing experiments and see what stick on the wall. But that's not the way to do it. You really need to follow a scientific process. Then really quickly, I'm pretty sure you have heard about that. Growth Tribe Academy is really preaching about this T-shaped marketer concept. The only thing that I want to show here, and we cannot go into too much detail because, as I say, we also need to go toward Delfin keynote and toward the discussion. And again, 10 minutes is a really short time frame. But in here, what you need to see is that the T-shaped concept is that the T is horizontal width of knowledge. And then the bar, the vertical one, is a depth of knowledge. And in here, we are talking about a T-shaped marketer. So of course, the depth of knowledge is going to be, for example, SEO and paid media, or it could be influencer marketing and PR. It can be anything depending on the person. So it's only for an individual. This is only a snapshot of one T-shaped marketer. But here is what most likely you never saw before. T-shaped is just a concept. It's not only for marketer, once again. It can be for anyone else working in a growth team. So it can be a T-shaped product manager. It can be a T-shaped sales manager. And it's the same concept. You have the depth of knowledge, strategic vision, and business strategy, and then you have the width of knowledge. The main thing that is really important is that most likely in the width of knowledge, yes, you would have a lot of elements from marketing, A/B test, landing page optimization, conversion rate optimization, social media management, because it is a part of how we can use these tools to grow. But that's not just about that. It's not just about marketing. So now, trying to wrap up everything, quick summary. The difference is basically between growth, meaning growth hacking, growth marketing, and growth in general, and marketing. So you have the difference at 4 levels. You have a difference in the mindset level. In growth, we have this so-called growth mindset. It doesn't mean that marketers and marketing working in the traditional ways don't have a growth mindset, but it means that in here, you work in sprint with fast iterative experimentation. You usually have a retrospective meeting. You have growth tools that I can present later on. You work with this T-shaped concept, etc., etc. Whereas in the more traditional marketing, you have more campaign-focused mindset. So you work according to a set plan that usually do 1 year in advance or 1 quarter in advance, and the strategy is fixed. That's usually, and of course, happy to, I know that some of you are gonna disagree, and hopefully so that we can open the conversation. And I know it's not the case for every company, and hopefully there is some so-called hybrid model or growth-like model. But then there is also the objective level. So in growth, you work across the entire funnel. So meaning from awareness to revenue, also through acquisition, activation, referral, and retention. And usually, most of the time, I would say 90% of the time in marketing, traditional marketing, it's really, really heavy on top of the funnel, meaning awareness and acquisition. And it's lead gen focused, not so much marketing team working purely in the traditional way, do some retention, referral, and activation. But of course, it happens, and usually you do it maybe, sometime, but it's not like your daily priority. Then you have the team. In growth, you have a multidisciplinary team. Again, it's not just marketers, it's not just copywriters or designers even, but in here you have marketers, designer, developer, data scientist, product owner, UX researcher, etc. And usually in a marketing team, you have marketers, different level. You might have like a marketing specialist, a CRO specialist, the CMO, etc., PPC manager, but usually it's all marketers. And then the last one is about the processes, and that's the most important. So the processes is where it all starts. In growth, you follow the growth hacking methodology, which is the fast iterative experimentation based on a scientific process where you leverage data for all decisions. In marketing, once again, it doesn't mean that you don't leverage data in all decisions. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily slow, but the process that usually is followed is the marketing campaign planning, campaign design, and execution. So now, last thing is, if you need to remember something, at least from me and from my view of the topic, is that growth hacking equals growth marketing, but it's totally different from marketing. Because once again, both of these terms is not just for marketers, it's also for sales manager, product owner, UX researcher, etc. It's really cross-functional. Then if you're a growth hacker or growth marketer, you work with a growth methodology. So if you don't work in sprint, if you don't work with fast data-driven experimentation, if you don't have this kind of iterative budget, if you don't have a fail-fast culture in the company, most likely you're not working in a growth team and you're not a growth marketer. You're just working in a different setup. And not just marketers can become growth hacker or growth marketer, but anyone that apply this growth hacking methodology. And lastly, these growth terms are being misused and defined by individual as they wish, because as we discussed, it's really hard to find the one true source and the origin. But again, I choose myself in order to stay objective to follow Sean Ellis' definition and the Hacking Growth book, because he's the one that founded the methodology and the term. So for me, therefore, is the main reference. But thank you. That's all for me, at least for now.
Dear
I
Rémy,
hope it was not too fast.
yes, actually, it's because we have less speakers, then we had a little bit more time. So thank you so much, Rémy. Great
awesome.
Presentation. Yes, I for one have many questions already, but but first let's give floor to Delfin, and I know that he has a different view on this, and let's hear it from him.
Yeah, I mean, this is really interesting, Rémy, and actually we have been discussing this for quite some time, actually over a year or something, I don't remember. And it may be the naming, or how do we call the things, or it could be, and then maybe some other things that are more deep. In my view, and I am having very vocal about this. The first time when I heard about growth hacking was at an Alto Garage event back in 2014, I believe. I met a guy, and hello, how are you? Yeah, fine. What do you do? Well, I work at Nokia. Okay, thank you very much. Whatever. What do you do? And he told me, I'm a growth hacker. I was, all right. What's that? So is that legal? Because sounds like, I don't know. And what the brief explanation that this person gave me is, yeah, we do tricks on Google to attract more people to our website and get them to convert. all right, that's fine. You do tricks on Google, and okay, fine, fair enough. That's it. And what's the point of doing that? So we can attract more customers and we grow the company. We grow the customer base. Okay, sounds kind of fine. Hacking, no hacking. Do I have a bad connotation about the word or not? Okay, fine. Then the whole thing started to move or to grow, and even when I have been asking few other colleagues or in the marketing industry or in different types of companies, and I have realized that you find only two type of persons or two type of persons. The ones that have no clue about this. I mean, they don't even know that such a thing as growth marketing or growth hacking exists. Not in their vocabulary, never heard. And the other ones that are pretty much living and breathing and preaching and they have in his skin this whole thing like Rémy. So I said, well, what's happening here? Why we have that kind of, which are the two characteristics of these two type of persons to both work in marketing, both have the same objective of going to increase the value of the business where they are working. So why it's like too diverse? And certainly the first one, the first type of person that I mentioned is the person that characteristically is on a medium or big, large corporation or companies. That is kind of what I have seen that it repeats again and again. And the other one, the second, is pretty much a niche on startups. If you want tech startups specifically, and also in certain industries, in certain countries even. I talk with many agency directors as well. What you may have heard as performance marketing agencies. And there was this managing director of the agency, finished, and then went to the UK, was super successful, and then came back to Finland to open the same branch of the agency now here. And that's what they do. I mean, they do performance marketing and paid search and all these things. And she was telling me, hey, what's the fuss with all this growth thing? Why in Finland everybody's paranoid about that? I have heard something like in London, but it's not like big thing. Why here is so big fuss about that? Everybody's asking us to do that, to do growth marketing. And even they have also an office in Stockholm, in Sweden. And she told me, nobody in Sweden is talking about this. And why is this so big? I mean, so finished thing? Or she was like, I'm not getting something. And I said, well, and I just, and I keep the conversation with all these people, and I just came to my own conclusion. To be honest, having quite some time in this business, but I just find this is just another word, another buzzword that the marketing people is inventing. We love buzzwords. I mean, we marketers, we invent them, and then we just spread them, and then we believe in them. We sell to ourselves the same idea. So I was just thinking, okay, well, isn't it growth the main purpose of marketing? Hasn't that been always the case? So if you are in a marketing position in a company, whatever is it, small, but so your objective is to drive the business, to increase the value of the company. That's your ultimate goal. Do it alone, do it together with sales, as it should, whatever, but that's the whole point. I mean, to me, really, calling it growth marketing is just redundant and silly. I mean, sorry, but yeah, when I see this type of things, I just call them out. It may be just a matter of the name if you want. Okay, fine, that could be one thing. But okay, let's go to what Rémy was explaining about the methodology that you have to follow, certain steps that you want to follow to become a growth marketer. Now I'm going to share my screen somewhere. Where should I share the screen? There you go. Which is this one.
No, Delfin, we don't see. Yeah.
Wait a second.
Now
Now
we
I'm
don't.
coming. So, yep, you should be able to see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Well, now yeah, I will be coming to this. So, this way of iterative experimentation, this has been used in marketing for years and years. Since, I don't know, I have used it for many times. We never called growth. We never call it like that. It has been evolved, of course. If you can see in the screen, this is a conference that I gave in. You can see it's there in my OneDrive. You can see the date, April 17, 2010, in Latvia. I gave this was for entrepreneurs, etc. And I'm going to skip a bunch of things here, but yeah, there you go. This is what I was talking about in 2010. Yeah, I am the first one that now I do not agree with this traditional marketing versus whatever. I was doing it, yes, 11 years ago. I have evolved my mind. I'm pretty much against this traditional marketing versus new marketing or whatever new you want to put them there. So this is what I was telling, and in the sense of, yeah, you plan your campaign, you spend 3 months doing it, you create your assets, and then you produce them, and then you just throw them out there, executing your campaign during 6 months or so, whatever, 1 year maybe, and then you evaluate whatever the results, and then you come back. And that's how, yeah, you go about it and develop that. Yes, this is the way of working that we were using it in the 90s. Yeah, because everything was slower, because there was no social media, there was just the beginning of the internet. Everything was slower, even to produce, to execute. So, and even to get a feedback, so you have to go one step and then the next and then the next. Yeah, fine. Well, so, but this was in the 90s. Now, in 2010, I didn't call it growth because that word didn't even, I mean, that connotation or that adjective to marketing didn't even was around. I just call it dynamic marketing. And I draw this literally on the back of a napkin in 2009. And well, let's start to apply it. Let's start to work on that. And it works like this. Instead of going one step and the other, you start to plan, and it goes in circles. Define your strategy, whatever is the business input, etc. Start to create whatever you need. Start to involve or to deploy. But hey, something is changing, because the environment is changing so fast. The market is changing fast. So while you are already deploying your campaign, go back and plan another one and start to create more things. And if you are already measuring after the first loop, you measure, you learn what you are doing, but you are already creating another one without finishing this. And at the same time, you are creating a new campaign and deploying it. We evaluate it, whatever parameters you established. Is it effective for the business, etc.? And at some point, you are actually, or the intention of this model was, you are actually continuously, all these gears were spinning at the same time. You are continuously planning, continuously creating, continuously involving, continuously optimizing what you are doing. Well, we didn't use sprints. We didn't use 2-week sprints or that type of, but heck, I mean, I've been doing this for so many years. So that's when I hear that this rapid experimentation and learn fast, and then, yes, tell me something that I don't know. So this has been there for years. I don't know what's the fuss, or why we want, why we like to get too crazy about this. This was my first thought when I realized, okay, what is this whole growth marketing behind? Say, well, yeah, well, call it whatever you want. I mean, it's just the same thing that it has been there for years. Then after this, so roughly in 2010, 2011, that's when from the software engineering world, we started to adapt the agile methodology, the agile methodology that was born early way in 10 years before, and that was applied in the IT sector, in the software development, given the complexity and all the small details that they need to take care of. The agile methodology started to being applied to marketing because marketing need to move fast as deploying a software update every 2 days or an app, whatever. So and marketing was certainly, many people were just lagging behind. So yeah, that makes sense. Well, let's continue doing rapid experimentation. Let's continue working in shorter, now we call them sprints. Yes, experiment, all these gears spinning. Now they have a timeline. Okay, fine. Now we are progressing. But yeah, so that's when I, by myself, without even knowing the word agile, I was running in 2013, 2014. I was running my stand-ups. They were not daily, they were weekly. But I was running them for 1 hour. That was not 15 minutes, it was 1 hour when I was in charge of the social media operations at Nokia. And but heck, we have people in one call from all the way from the Philippines, India, Egypt, Bulgaria, Spain, Finland, the UK, Brazil, the US, and Panama in one call. And I used to run it. It was 1 hour, and we always finish in 40 minutes for some reason, 45 minutes, because there was this mentality of, yeah, let's be agile. Tell me, what are you doing? Do you have any blocker? What are you going to do next? And is there anything to flag? Blah blah, etc. We were managing all the social media properties for Nokia. That was a big deal, and social media crises were everywhere around the corner, of course. So we need to be in touch, on top of everything. Yeah, man, we were already doing those things, and yeah, and we didn't have a clue of growth, or calling it growth, calling it agile. We were just working in a dynamic environment, and yes, continuously iterating and continuously experimenting things. Yeah, I mean, and it was a big corporation. It was not, of course, not a startup. But I mean, and I know companies that they were following the same approach, even back in the day. KLM, Siemens. I mean, many companies were doing that. So that's why I say, well, why is that new? Well, anyway, what I feel is that, yeah, this is just another buzzword that we just like to invent. Whoever is the people that Rémy was calling, fine. Yeah, and I did read that Ryan Holiday book. Yes, good that you call it that. I did read it. So let's find out about this, about more. Well, maybe I have to learn something, right? And yes, it's this whole thing that started in Silicon Valley, for the most part, as a result of their reality, how to, as a way of working to test, improve, and multiply the efforts, the marketing efforts to respond to this Silicon Valley's hungry and fast results environment. That's fine. Even journalists on Ryan Holiday, they created that. Great, that works for them. That's it, fine. But when I come to the really the confrontation, and I don't know from where this narrative come from, really, where there's this growth marketing versus traditional, quote unquote, versus traditional marketing. And that's when I start to cringe, like, I mean, from where this whole thing came, why we need to, this is the new thing. This is so innovative. Like, heck, it's not innovative, man. This has been there forever. We have been doing it forever. There's no innovation here. Okay, there has been more evolving in some sort. Yeah. And what Rémy was saying, and actually, mate, I just pirated your slide here. What you are saying here, growth versus marketing. Sorry, mate. This is not correct, in my view. Marketing is the whole a whole discipline that has many things inside it. And I didn't invent that. It's just somebody who I mean, the Americans who were the ones who invented this, who strategized it in this and structured this thing called marketing. You may know it. I mean, this famous traditional 4 Ps that then evolved into 7 Ps, and I don't know how many Ps now they have been putting together, whoever. But basically, product, placement, price, and promotion. Well, there you go, 4. Product, placement, price, and promotion. That's the domain of marketing. That has always been the domain of marketing. The product marketers, the distribution, the placement. Now it happens online. Well, fine. The price strategy. Yes, together you had to deal together with finance, yes. And the promotion. And this is what marketing has always been since I have memory. Yes. And you showed the book from Philip Kotler. Yes, that was the first book. But guess what? The master Philip Kotler is 90 years old and is more lucid than you and me and everybody here. It's brilliant. And it has the latest book, yes, Marketing 4. Because he of course, he wrote the 2.0, 3.0, and now he has this one. And yes, well, he's moving to digital. Really, read it. It's worth more than any growth hacking book, really. This is the Bible. This is the real Bible that you may want to read. So coming back to this marketing versus growth. Growth mindset, yeah, kind of, yeah, I get it. It's just something that we should always all have, evolving our mindset, being open to discussion, being open to grow our mind, to learn. Campaign focus, top of the funnel, marketers. This is where I realized the whole confusion is. Marketing has always been about the whole funnel. From top of the funnel, actually top of the funnel, that is already like, even top of the funnel may not even be the best way to define it. You know, that inverted pyramid that typically is there. I have developed my own, and well, this is from my former company. I have developed my own, and this is how I define it, this dynamic way. The blue ones are the ones that sales and marketing, both sales and marketing, need to do. And the white, or the transparent, is what we typically know by the journey, the funnel. There you go. Planning, pre-sale. Above this line is before the purchase, below the line is after the purchase. You may have many things here. The 0 moment of truth, that by now everybody should know. What is that? The influence of digital, etc. And the key thing here is you say, yeah, top of the funnel, this will be the equivalent of top of the funnel. Let me just use this stuff. This will be the equivalent of top of the funnel. But we marketers, we work along the whole journey, from awareness, consideration, working together with sales. After the purchase, what happens after the purchase? The buyer's remorse. We marketers have the duty to cope with that buyer's remorse. What's the experience of the that doesn't work? Yeah. What's the experience of the customer when they already are experiencing and testing, are wearing, are using the product? Is that experience okay? Better than it is, because are they loyal or not? Marketing is here. It's all the way after optimizing, upselling, cross-selling, and of course, well, hopefully, driving advocacy, hopefully. And I have been in pretty much in each one of these bubbles, in different types of companies, in different types of times. So this example that I just put before, my duty where I was at Nokia actually was in this part. I was a marketer, but in the after the purchase, it was customer marketing. There you go. There's another. So to me, this has always been marketing, the whole funnel, not just top of the funnel. That is one of the biggest misconceptions of marketing, that marketing is just top of the funnel thing. And that's what I was thinking. Okay, why is this confusion, why we have this, let me just stop sharing here. Yeah, why we have this, now this is working, now it's working. Why we have this confusion about, or believing that marketing is just top of the funnel, or just, I say, well, the people that we are inside of marketing, we know which are the very different specialities within marketing. I know people who specialize in product marketing, even senior people, and they have no clue of demand. They have no clue of top of the funnel tactics, because that's not their specialty within marketing, or research, market research, or product strategy, pricing strategy, competition evaluation. They have no clue of top of the funnel. They don't do those things, and they are marketers, of course. So the conclusion that I came was that inside of the marketing industry, we know that there are all these specialties. However, outside of the marketing industry, what is the most visible thing always of the 4 P's? The last one, promotion, because that's what we put outside, right? That's what we put on YouTube, on Facebook, on TV, on whatever is out there. That's what everybody sees. That's why I started to realize, yes, there you go. That's why for many people, marketing equals promotion. Marketing equals advertising. There you go. Marketing is just advertising. That's the thing. And that is where, of course, there's this, and that includes the CEOs of the companies and the board members, who, of course, they don't know many of these things in depth. And that's where the misleading thing comes into place. Now, well, they may know more or less about marketing, but then they come all these new things, all these bossy thing, growth marketing. Oh, what is that? And that's where I see the danger of growth marketing. And I say it, yes, I say it. I see it as a danger, and now we can go. Yeah, now we can go.
Yeah,
To the comments. I will stop here, and I will tell you why. I will tell you why. But yeah, this is kind of my roughly my approach, and why I believe that thing that those approaches that you call growth, I mean, they are just, well, far from reality. Or maybe we live in different realities. Do we live in parallel universe? I don't know.
All right, I feel like I have to jump in, because now we have still time, but now I would like to ask the speakers, what do you want to do next? Because now that we have heard from both of you, and also it's interesting, in the chat there are no questions. However, people are posting like opinions supporting both of your viewpoints. So it feels like it's interesting to continue the discussion, but also I have some questions submitted from before, not from now, but from before. So what do you feel like? I feel like I have to ask Rémy first, because I gave Delfin kind of a little bit more time than Rémy now.
Go ahead, Rémy.
No worries. No, thank you so much, Delfin. First of all, it was super interesting, and I'm happy that we finally were able to open the discussion. But yes, to answer Ekaterina, I want definitely to first come back to few points that Delfin covered, so that I can just like answer back what I think. And also, I think there is something that I don't know if I totally failed or if someone missed my point. But anyway, just want to go back to that, and then I want to open it to the audience, because I want to hear also whatever the opinion is.
Yes. I will also
absolutely
answer
yes.
question. But yes, so if I go quickly, I'm not sure in which order it's gonna be, because I was just in my notes trying to write things down as you were speaking. But just about the funnel, and first of all, also as a background, I'm a digital marketer myself. I'm a marketer before being a growth hacker and growth marketer. I have 7 years background in marketing, pure marketing, and then like 4 years in growth. So of course I come from a marketer background, and I will never diminish the scope and the work of marketers. I have been fighting about that myself quite a lot, always praising that marketing is not a support function. This is a strategical function. It is definitely way more than promotion and advertising. I'm very well aware of that. But where I say that I think, I don't know if I failed in my presentation, and of course, again, usually I do this introduction and crash course in 2 to 3 hours. So in this format, it's really, really difficult to convey the full methodology, to open up a bit more. But hopefully, I wanted to give you few reference sources, books, slides to just show you that it's not just about opinions. And that's why I started with that. If you remember in the earlier slide, I said that there is this subjective claim that we can disagree, but anyone cannot be incorrect. But what I want to see is that we stay objective. And when you say that about the funnel, this is not true, and we are in parallel universe, something like that, I have to disagree because I want to stay objective and I want to check the definition. So if we check the original, really simplified funnel and like marketing funnel, because we talk about marketing, usually you look at the really simple awareness, consideration, conversion. And I know anyone can come at me, it have changed, there is a million different funnels, but I wanted to say is that in growth methodology, we use a so-called parrot funnel, which have like 7 different steps. So you go from awareness, acquisition, activation, revenue, retention, and referral. And in this specific funnel, I don't believe, or then I want to see, because I have been myself working, as I say, 7 years in marketing, and I've been in startups, really small, medium size, and one corporate. I have never seen, and it's my own experience, so maybe it's just that, I don't know, of course it's just me, so it's my own experience. I have never seen a marketing team working on the full funnel because there is so-called handover to sales, and there is so-called project manager and customer care and customer success that take care of all the later part of the funnel, which is activation, revenue, and retention. Of course, marketing is involved and discussed in good company, and I want to highlight and underline million times good company, because so many times company have siloed teams. So the marketing is marketing, they just do their thing. Everyone thinks it's just creative, as you said, advertising and campaign, nothing else. The sales is doing sales, they just pick up the phone, cold constantly, they don't do anything else. And then customer success, they just try to make the customer happy by bringing them to a restaurant or golf course. And we all know that's not the reality. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that 90% of the case, the marketing team, their goal is lead generation. And ultimately, you talk about isn't growth the marketing goal? And I have to put like a nuanced answer, isn't any kind of business goal growth? Like the designer is hired to grow the company and the customer. The salesperson is hired to grow the company and the customer. Of course, yes, it's a no-brainer. Everyone who is hired in a business setup is there to grow either the own company internally or the customer. But is the sole primarily operational focus, your daily job in marketing to grow? I would hardly debate that. No, your goal is to convert, your goal is to generate leads, your goal is to create content, your goal is to share the brand and create awareness. So that's why 90% of the time it's more top of the funnel. Of course, some company, it might be different. And then this company might have a so-called growth-like or hybrid model. I saw quickly actually Stein talking about in the comment hybrid model, and I totally agree, and hopefully we can open up more about that. But another point I want to cover, you talked about agile, and well, I'm lucky I can talk about that because I used to work in my first month when I arrived in Finland as a project manager in a digital agency, and I got agile certification as a Scrum Master. We don't need to go too much into that, that's off topic, but what I want to show is that actually the agile methodology is the same type, it's a framework as much as the growth hacking methodology, but marketing is a field, it's not, there is marketing concept, but there is not a marketing methodology. So first of all, we're talking about potato and carrots or something totally different. So you are talking about companies that do growth-like methodology. As you say, you do a daily, but it's actually weekly, it's not daily. You do a stand-up, but it's actually 45 minutes and not 5 minutes. But just to tell you, when I got certification, it was by Reactor, if it's relevant. The only sole role that they told me that when I took this certification is that the Scrum Master, the main role is to prevent your team, so developer and designer, to get distracted from their given weekly task. That's the main role. That's the Scrum Master role. So someone in the company is just there to make sure that nobody come and knocks the door. Hey, can you do that for me? Oh, there is a customer request. No, you make sure they stay focused. And in that sense, would you say that's totally, I don't know, everyone has their own opinion, but that's what it is. And that's the methodology. And that's where I think everyone get confused, and maybe I failed again, but I would need more time to explain. The growth hacking is a 10-year-old, so really new methodology. It didn't exist before. What you showed in your slide, actually, it's really nice and it's really growth-like. But if you don't work in sprint, if you don't have your retrospective, if you don't have rapid data-driven experimentation, if you don't have a tool, a growth mindset, and work, most importantly, cross-functionally, so not just with marketers, because with what you showed me, at least, of course, we didn't have time to expand upon that. It was really heavily focused for marketers and digital marketing and campaigns. There was still even campaign at the middle of your slide. And if you remember, I wanted to show that the main difference is that when you're in growth, you don't center about the campaign. You center about an objective. And it's this objective. Now I'm going even beyond, but we probably don't have time. I'm gonna let you answer back. In the methodology, you have a so-called North Star metric. And once again, I know people say, yes, what is that? What is this new buzzword and so on? But actually, it's really clearly defined in the methodology. And there is like 3 criteria to qualify as a North Star metric. And everything that a growth marketer do should always serve the North Star metric. Otherwise, you can't do it. That's not authorized by the methodology. So if you run similar iterative process and it has been done per century, yes, of course, nobody reinvents the wheel, but this process is 10-year-old, it's really new. And one last thing is, I always want to base it on fact. And actually, if you check all the tech giants, Facebook, Amazon, even Netflix or Airbnb, they have all been followed this new growth methodology. And I really strongly believe that's thanks to this methodology that they follow rigorously and not just like you just take one concept and you do the rest, that they were able to achieve this hyper growth and scale up so fast. Because otherwise, well, you can grow with other methods, but it's really hard in our market when there is constant disruption, new tools every day, new change, and so on. But yes, that was a quick feedback. I couldn't cover everything, but happy to hear what you want to say from that, and let's see if we can take question as well.
I'm realizing, Rémy, that several of the things that you say now is just the change in the name, the change in how we call things. When you describe your not funnel, you call it in a different way. It's just different names, but it's pretty much the one. You have it like this, and you have it in a circle, whatever. But they are the steps that you go. That's what I'm realizing. Sometimes it's just how we call things, but we are doing very similar things. Why we are calling this a new thing? That's one of my, yeah. What I would like to wrap up this and to get, to have more whatever questions come is what the impact that this growth marketing thing has had in the marketing industry. We can call it whatever you want. We follow more or less different methodologies, agile, growth, whatever, fine. Let's put the name aside. Let's put that for a moment. Because where I have saw this several times, the true danger of this is on the whole buzz around this. And let me explain why I see that this is a true danger.
Delfin, I'm sorry to very shortly interrupt you. Can you, because we already have 3 questions in the chat,
yeah,
so I really
because
want to
actually this is the core of this, the whole thing discussion that I'm pushing. Really, this is the core thing. What is the image that the business owners, the CEOs, and the boards of directors have about marketing or about growth marketing? Is this young guy who comes with a bag full of hacks, full of tricks that they will put things here and there and magically will skyrocket our revenue, our customer acquisition, and our revenue. I don't say that is correct
totally
or not.
Wrong, by
that
the way. Yeah, exactly.
yes,
is totally wrong.
Yes, I'm not saying that that is the real, but that's what the perception, and that's what counts in marketing. What is important is not what it is, but what it looks like. And I have seen again and again, this is the perception, wrong, yes, but this is the perception that many CEOs and many boards have because of all this fuss about growth marketing, they think that this is this millennial guy with a bag full of hacks and will achieve this magic hockey stick thing. Of course, you tell that to any CEO. I mean, no CEO is going to say no to that. No board of directors will say no to that. Of course, that's what they want. But this hockey stick happens 1 in 1,000, of course. So that's where the danger is, that many of these CEOs have been brainwashed with this growth marketing idea, and now they are hiring heads of growth,
but
even chief growth officers. Let me just wrap up this.
Really important. But,
and that's what I mean, talking with CEOs, talking with people, with marketers, really good marketers, top marketers in Finland, certified by whoever you want, and they arrive to a chief growth officer position in a SaaS here in Finland, here in Helsinki, and they last 6 months. Why? Because of the CEO and the board had very wrong expectations, and they wanted this hockey stick, and then this growth hacking thing doesn't work, and then let's change. But that's where I'm going, and that's where I see the true danger of pushing this naming. This is not the methodology. It's not how it works. This is what's happening. I am seeing it again and again and again in different companies.
I believe it myself too with certain clients and certain companies. So I definitely agree on what you say, actually. But where you have to disagree, and when I hope we can join together forces, and even with the audience, is that we are here, and that's why we have the event, to actually break these myths, and that this is not about this like young guy that just came in the company with hacks, because this is not about hacks at all. This is about following a really thorough scientific process that has been proven by journalists and a lot of other real growth hacker, and not so-called self-claimed growth hacker. The only thing I wanted to call also is that you talk about like millennial young guys that come with hacks, but that's because they just want to surf the trend. Isn't that what everyone do in the world? They see a buzzword, they see that it works, they see that it's hiring, so they try to get in the thing so that they can, you know, well, get a new job and get like fancy or whatever. But the thing is, that's also why, again, I mentioned it in my slide, growth hacking is 10-year-old. So of course you will not find Phil Kotler or like really old marketer doing it unless they spend time training themselves, doing project with it, learning about it. But usually it's more younger people because they are still in the learning phase, or they're out of the study and they're like learning this new thing. I'm not saying that the older or more senior one cannot learn it, but usually, as you say, and people hate change. That's also why there is this debate, and that's also why there is this misconception. But the marketing is 50-year-old as we know it today, and even older than that, like hundreds of years old. So everyone is more or less clear on what it is. But growth hacking methodology is relatively new. It's only 10-year-old. It's nothing when you think about it. It's nothing 10-year-old. So that's why there is still so many misconceptions, and misunderstanding. But if we understand and if we follow the methodology, you say that marketing is all about perception. It is true, but I also want to disagree that we want to make sure that, let's make sure that we don't say it's just we try to make some fluff in perception. I think we all, and I think you also agree that we don't want to just be about that. But all the nomenclature is really important. You say, let's put the name aside. But in marketing, if we start to put naming aside and we start to mix like CPC and CPR, cost per click and cost per result, then everything we do don't mean anything anymore, because we're starting to mix up everything. So we need to actually be careful. We need to be thorough with all of that. And if you do an agile methodology, you need to follow exactly how it is. You have a daily, you have the stand-up, you have the sprint. If you just do, well, I have a daily once per week, well, then you're not doing agile. So that's the same with growth marketers. And as you say, and I totally agree, the number one source of confusion is so-called growth marketers that actually don't know anything about it, and that just spread that, hey, I have a hack. Hey, I know this algorithm.
So the problem is on us. We created a beast, and the problem.
No.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Ekaterina, questions.
I have to. Yeah.
Yes, let's go to the question.
I have to. Actually, this is really unfair because even I have a lot of questions, but we don't have time for that anymore. However, I want to remind you that today at 5 we have a Google Meet organized by Anna, so we can take it there.
No more Clubhouse.
There.
No Clubhouse.
No,
for today.
we diversify because now people who don't have people who don't have iOS, they are now left out. So now we're trying to diversify, like 1 week do it in Clubhouse and another. So first of all, we can take it again there. Second of all, I just wanted to say how interesting, because I have seen it on the community, but I don't know how long other people are following this conversation. I just want to say how great example of conversations that we have. I, for one, feel like I'm in some PhD defense, that people are like coming up with serious books and are prepared for the debate and whatever. And I have to say that the concept is really new of the growth hacking, so that's why I believe there are so many still vague points about it, and it's really cool that we are talking. I mean, we are in a way creating the understanding ourselves when we're talking about it. And I want to thank you both. And just before I get to the questions, I just wanted to really quickly say that there's a notion of degrowth. For example, last year I was in Shift Business Festival, and we had it as one of the topics. So no, it's not all everything about the growth either, but that's already on macroeconomic. That's not anymore on microeconomic. It's that
degrowth,
like,
another buzzword.
Yeah. No, and Delfin, actually, there's degrowth and there's also regrowth, but I'm not even gonna go into there. We have awesome questions in the chat. For example, we have Audrey Aghan joining us. Audrey is from Advanced P2B. They are going to have an event on this similar topic, so it's really cool that she's here to listen to us today. And Audrey is asking, do you guys have any case studies that shows long-term and sustainable growth that you can show with your methodologies? Who wants to
more than
shoot
happy
it out?
to share. Like, well, just go to growthhacker.com community. That's actually, again, the one true source if you want to stay objective, because it's the one that came up with both the term and the methodology. So once again, it's about objectivity versus subjectivity. But for myself, if I want the source of truth, I see who created it. I don't hear anyone else, but anyhow, so that's my own opinion. So just go to growthhacker.com and you can check the case study from Dropbox, Airbnb, Netflix, and Facebook. So all this company follow the growth methodology, and after a couple of years, and I emphasize years, it's not a matter of weeks or months. There is absolutely no growth hacking in a matter of weeks or months. That is BS, red flag. If someone comes to you, yes, in 2 months, you're gonna do growth hacking. This is totally bullshit. Growth hacking takes time. It's a long process. It's a scientific approach. You need to be rigorous. And yes, it's about fast experimentation, but know what? During the first year, according to statistics from the past 10 years, 80% of the experimentation fail, and only 20% are either a win or inconclusive. And only after a year or two, you will find this one win that is so nice that you can scale it, and then it will move the needle and you will have a growth. I hope it answers the question.
I mean, I know all those examples. Like, I think a lot of us are really quite familiar with those.
Yes.
Hey, and that's why I'm just curious. I mean, like, I've read like a lot of those, and a lot of those, you know, examples you see sometimes are like fluke, and it's not something that you can kind of like duplicate. So I'm just wondering how you in particular have done that at like RecRite or at any of your previous companies, because I always find it super interesting to see how like companies in Finland are doing it, for example, since like now I'm working like here in Finland. I'm not from here, so I like to learn how other companies are doing it like in this specific like market.
Yeah, that's a good question. I cannot probably open up too much now because we have 10 minutes left about myself and my current company, and also, of course, depending on how it's going to go. But I just want to say that the methodology was started like 5 months ago internally at RecRite, and we're still in the process of actually optimizing the growth methodology internally. But I think that's actually a really good point, because most of the growth hack of this big company, we shouldn't try to like replicate them, because they are individual for this specific company, their specific target audience, their specific product. So what we want to duplicate is maybe the methodology or the way they have been doing it. And that's exactly what we are doing currently at RecRite. So we are establishing the sprint cadence, we're establishing the retrospective. We have this tool that we use. It's called actually Experiment by Growth Hackers. And that we just do the methodology, and we run at the moment about 10 experiments per sprint. And then we have more or less about 80% fail, 20% win. And for now, to be fully transparent, it is really small wins. It is just win that, for example, bring you 20% more MQL in your webinar or stuff like that. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that we learn from it. and then we will find the one that really we can scale and automate. That's when we will move the needle bigger, and that's where we can hopefully have hypergrowth. And once again, this is all hypothetical. It all depends most likely, and again, we don't have time. You always need to make sure that your company have product market fit. You always need to make sure that you have the right persona and the right ICP, because if you burn these steps ahead and go straight into growth, straight into tactics, this is totally useless. It's never going to work. You always need to have like the strong foundation, but I think we can agree on that. And happy to open the conversation more with you, Audrey, because again, I don't think we have the time to open too much now.
Delfin, do you have to add on the same question, or do we move forward?
I don't have, I mean, too much to add, because the only case studies that I tend to trust are the ones that I build myself, and because I did the thing in my previous companies. So that's, I mean, and certainly I don't have them like nicely put like that. I should maybe, but
You
no,
should.
nothing to agree. And I'm just reading some comment. I'm just gonna read it. I guess this is super key from Steen Boon. Sorry if I'm just butchering your name. What I do agree with Delfin's side is that you have 4-week growth hacking programs nowadays with people with absolutely no experience. And after that, they claim to be professionals in that field, while they clearly lack so much experience in marketing and other functions, which is really dangerous. I just fully agree with that.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree with that too. I mean, nothing against that, but that doesn't change that still the growth methodology is totally different from marketing. It's again, one thing you need to remember from today, from me, growth hacking in growth marketing, it's not marketing, it's marketing and sales and customer success and product and design. So that's the main difference. So once again, I don't think these comments change everything we've been discussing in the past, and I agree with it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's about this. Now I saw it. I mean, Growth Tribe, fine, is their business, great, they are doing this business, but now they have this certified growth marketing. What the heck?
But how
just collaborates to the boss and to this, that's in my opinion, that collaborates to the boss and to the bad reputation, and in detriment of the CEO's situation that I explained before.
Sorry,
but
I have to.
Go ahead, Ekaterina.
I don't think.
No. I mean, I love the debate, but yeah, I need to read the questions, or people going to. For example, when I'm in the event, I post a question and it's not read out. I feel really bummed. But let's have Delfin answer first, maybe, because I think it's more related than maybe. So Ekaterina, hi, is asking, do you think this traditional approach to marketing, slower campaign creation, etc., is dead and marketers now need to work with growth approach only, or there are still industries where it could be applicable? So I guess the answer from Delfin is yes, but please elaborate.
The one thing I hate is this narrative of traditional versus whatever new. You have to evolve as marketer. And yes, nowadays you have to move fast, and you cannot be just planning campaigns 3 months and running them. Even campaign, the whole concept of campaign, when some effort starts in one date and finishing another date, it's like long. That concept, it's kind of outdated. You have to move fast. Yes, try what is working, what is not working. Call it however you want. But in this day and age, we have to be modern marketers, and we need to adopt and to use whatever technology gives us to do our job better. And yes, I mean, old-fashioned stuff doesn't work. And if you keep doing it, you're going to die.
Rémy, do you have anything on the same question?
I want to say that I actually kind of joined Delfin on that. And once again, the point is missed, because it's not necessarily traditional marketing versus growth marketing. They work hand in hand, and it's not the same. This is not replacing marketing. This is a new field. This is a field that didn't exist 10 years ago. This is a new field that is here to answer the fast, ever-changing digital landscape, new tools, and so on. So we are not here to replace marketing. Actually, I work really closely with marketing, and there is a hybrid model where you are here, you work 50% of your time in traditional marketing, so-called traditional marketing, and then you will work in the fast experimentation way when you collaborate with product sales, customer success, etc. Or you have company when you have the marketing team, which is what it ever always have been, and the growth team, which is the new model I explained. So no, it's not there to be replacing marketing. Yes, marketing is here to stay. And yes, as Delfin say, you need to constantly stay up to date, constantly learn new stuff as marketer, because everything is changing. Especially in the past years that we've seen last year, user behavior have changed like never before, because everything have been switched to online. So I hope it answers the question.
Yes, thank you very much.
I would just underline that what you say, Rémy, customers are changing. Buying behaviors are changing. Do not keep using the same playbook, because it's not going to work.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yes. Then thank you for the question and the answers. Then the next one comes from Alex, Alex G. I hope I got that right. So he says, interesting topic, thank you. And I would like to ask both Delfin and Rémy, what do you think about the future of growth hacker marketing? Will it be like innovation labs in big companies, department for growth hackers, or will it become just one more skill for a marketer?
Do you want me to go first, or?
Please, Rémy.
Yes, because it's joining quite a lot the previous answer. So once again, now you put a slash, so I don't know if you were making the comparison between the two, but yes, definitely it is already. So it's not even going to become, it is already a sort of innovation lab, because actually the growth team is not the only one, but the team that should, at least in the company that have this such team, be the most willing to fail. So they're the one that have the most like allocation in terms of budget that doesn't need necessarily to bring revenue back. Of course, that's the goal, but that's how we work in growth, because we do our experiment, we have the data to back us, we have the hypothesis, but sometimes, as I say, 80% of the time, it will fail. So at the opposite of marketing, when you are usually not so encouraged to fail, and you're also yourself, again, it depends on the person and the company, but you're more or less like, okay, we need to be really careful because now we have this 2K budget for this quarter. How are we going to spend it? So I'm going to put like 1,000 here, 300 here, and that's it. But that's totally different. We work in growth team in this sort of like innovation type of lab and research, because we only run experimentation. And I don't think we're going to have the time, but I would love to show you the tools when we basically lay down a card with, we believe that, to verify that, measure that, and we are right. If you always need to have all of that before you start anything. Otherwise, once again, this is not growth, this is something else. Yes, that's it for me.
Delfin, how about your view of the future of growth hacking and growth marketing?
Let's stop talking about growth marketing and just talk about marketing. It's
event,
modern marketing, and you have to adapt to the new times. You have, first and foremost, I would say that you have to adapt to your buyers, to your customers' behavior, to your buyers' behavior, and know them deeply. Use whatever technique you want, whatever tool you want, talk to them, and that's the core thing that you need to do to improve. Then how you implement it, how do you call it, whatever you want. That's the core thing. And the second is, well, that's the one thing that I would like to try to, I don't know how, but to counterbalance this misconception or exaggerated conception of growth marketing, because I have seen how damaging has been at the CEO level and the board level, and it's just a disservice for our marketing industry and for our own future. There you go.
All right. Yeah, I have more questions that were pre-submitted, but no more from this chat. So because we are running out of time, I suggest that I send the questions to both of you, and maybe we can take it either later today or personally, because
post them in the community.
Yeah,
post them in the Slack.
Yeah, we'll do. We'll do. I just don't know if all the people are in the Slack, because these are.
Well, then join the Slack. There you go.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah, the join the Slack link is already there. So please join the Slack and join our meeting today. And our next community event is coming up on 25th of March. The topic is going to be employer's perspective on a good marketing hire. And we are going to have Elina Rasanen from Xolo, former Holvi, Lari Numinen from Sievo, and David Blinov from F-Marketing. So today it has been great. I mean, this is a tiny bit of the things that we have going on, like discussions and exchange of opinions and so on, what we have going on in the community. Please join and continue with us there. Thank you everyone for joining, and thank you the speakers for your time and the audience for the questions. And please connect with us. And also I'm always looking for new interesting topics. Now I have like 3 events planned ahead till end of April, but please, if you feel like there's a topic you would like to hear or speak about, please always contact me, and we will think of something. So with this, wishing everyone a good Tuesday, and yeah, see you in our other events. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ekaterina. Bye.
Thank you,
all.
everyone.
Let's be in
Bye.
touch. Bye-bye.
Bye.